These are your Unit 6A Day 5 notes. These notes are going to focus on classifying and naming angles, which falls under Standard 3A. So, naming angles. How do you name an angle? Well, an angle is made up of two rays that share a common endpoint, or vertex. Endpoint, vertex, same thing. And we measure an angle using degrees. So when we measure an angle, we say it's so many degrees, just like if we're measuring, the length of something, we might say it's so many feet. Or if we're measuring liquid, we might say how many gallons. So when we're talking about an angle, we measure it in degrees. So an angle is made up of two rays. So here's one ray, here's the second ray that share a common endpoint. And here's the common endpoint, or vertex. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is just practice naming these angles. So I have this angle, and it has, you can see it's an angle. It has two rays that are connected with an endpoint. And all I'm going to do to name this angle is I'm going to just go like this and put the letters in order. P-I-G. So this is angle P-I-G. You can also name this angle G-I-P. Or you can name this angle I. Really, if you have three endpoints, you don't want to just name it angle I, which is its vertex. You want to use all three endpoints. So I look here, and you see how this is PIG and this is GIP. What's in the middle? I. I needs to be in the middle of this angle, okay? This vertex is the middle letter. And I'll just highlight that and highlight that. So what is the name of this angle? PIG. Moving on to the next one. Okay, you look at this angle and we can see that there's only one letter. There isn't an endpoint here and there isn't an endpoint here. So the only thing that we can call this angle is angle H. Okay, now we get down to here and we got a couple angles going on. Remember, an angle is two rays that share a common endpoint. So let's see what angles are here. All right, we can see that. Oops, I'm going to highlight. These two rays share this common endpoint of H. These two rays share the common endpoint of H. And there's one more. If we look at ray TH and ray HE, that is also an angle because they share this common endpoint of H. Okay? So if I'm going to name my first angle, this would be angle THN. Or NHT. Remember that we need to have H in the middle, okay? Because that is our common endpoint. All right, now I'm going to look at my next angle. All right, again, we can see here that this ray and this ray are connected by that endpoint or vertex H. And so I'm going to just go ahead and name this. I have this point, which is N, H, and E. So this is angle N, H, E. We can also call this angle E, H, N. remember, we have our vertex, our common endpoint is in the middle. Okay, let's go on to our last angle that we identified. We can see that ray TH and EH share this common endpoint, and the name of this angle would be angle THE, or we can call it angle EHT. Okay, now something that you might notice here is that we have a little 1 here and a little 2 here. So this angle could also be referred to as angle 1. This angle, guess, you're right, could also be referred to as angle 2. And this angle, this big one, could be referred to as angle H. This angle H is broken into 2 angles, 1 and 2, or THN and HE. Okay, make sure you have all of this information in your notes. And if I was going too fast, rewatch it or slow it down. All right, so now we're going to practice classifying angles. Angles can be classified or described by their measure or their degrees. So we're going to focus on 4 types of angles. First, we have acute. An angle that is acute is less than 90 degrees, okay? And we can kind of look at this little A, how it's cute. And here's an example of an angle that's less than 90 degrees, or here's another one, okay? So an acute angle is less than 90 degrees. Next, we have an obtuse angle. And this is an angle that is more than 90 degrees, but less than 180 degrees. And that's an obtuse angle. So it's more than, so I'm going to have these arrows pointing bigger. And here's an example of an obtuse angle. This is more than 90 degrees. And I keep referring back to 90 degrees. Well, 90 degrees is a right angle. And it is a very common angle. It is something that you'll see in a square. All right, it's a right angle. There's my perfect corner. And we'll always see this little square right here to indicate that it's a right angle. And a right angle is exactly 90 degrees. And here's another example of it. Remember, you know it's a right angle if you see that little square. If you don't see that square, not a right angle. And last but not least, we have a straight line. Which, straight line, see how perfectly straight that is? And a straight line is an angle that is exactly 180 degrees. And here's that. And you will always see this little rainbow to indicate that this is a straight angle. Which, remember, a straight angle, just straight up line across, and it measures 180 degrees. All right. Make sure you have all this in your notes. And now we're going to go to this next problem. I look here. What you're going to do is we're going to practice naming the angle and classifying it. All right, so first, to name my angle, I need to look at my endpoints. Right here I have ray AB and ray BC are connected with the common endpoint B. So the name of this angle is simply angle ABC. And remember to keep that common endpoint or vertex in the middle. And then I'm going to classify this as a obtuse angle because it is bigger than 90 degrees. It is more than 90 degrees. If I had a 90 degrees corner in here, beep, this would be more than that. Okay, get this down. Let's move on. All right, here we go. Got a few more to do before you get to your own practice. We have this straight line right here, perfectly beautiful straight line. So we know right here that it's a straight up line. So what kind of angle is this? I'm going to just do this part first because it's so obvious. It's right in your face. It is a straight line. And what is the name of this angle? Remember, we have to keep our common endpoint in the middle. So this is simply angle DEF. Okay, if you're feeling confident and want to pause the video and try a couple on your own, go for it. If you want to follow along with me, go for it. Okay, this one this one would be considered a acute angle because it is less than 90 degrees. And I would label classify or name this angle as IHG because H is my vertex or my common endpoint. Next, I look at this angle and I can see that it is more than 90 degrees. So it is an obtuse angle. And I'm going to name this angle using the common endpoint QRS. Next, I can see that this is a 90-degree angle because it has this square indicating that right there. So that is a right there. Look at that. It is a right angle. And I'm going to name it by its common endpoint, X, Z, Y. And last but not least, I have this angle, which I can see is smaller than 90 degrees. So it's smaller, it's cute, it's an acute angle. And the name of the angle is GSW. All right. Hopefully you're feeling confident, and if not, go back and rewatch it. That's it.